weeks, a lot of information relating to the FBI's Russia investigation has been declassified and made public. That's in a large part thanks to Attorney General Barr, action he has taken, and action taken by Acting Director Grenell, DNI, on declassification of a lot of things that should have been declassified a long time ago. Their acts of transparency are finally shining a light on the dark corners of the federal government. The public's business ought to be public. There's too much over-classification in the federal government. Barr and Grenell are doing what they ought to do, and I hope they keep it up. In the last several weeks, we've also seen a lot of denial from some quarters in the media about the information that's been released. Also last week, former President Obama said the rule of law is at risk because of the Justice Department's dismissal of the Flynn case. And contrary to what President Obama believes or the media might say, I believe the opposite is true. The rule of law is at risk if the federal government can get away with violating the Constitution to do what they did to Lieutenant General Flynn. And when it comes to those violations and other misconduct by former government officials, Obama and the mainstream media pundits, they all seem to be silent all of a sudden. I've heard no comment from Mr. Obama about the independent Inspector General's findings that Andrew McCabe lied under oath to federal investigators multiple times. Or I haven't heard about how Department of Justice prosecutors falsely told the court that they had produced all Brady material to Flynn. Or I haven't heard them when the federal government surveilled an American citizen connected to the Trump campaign without probable cause and based on intelligence that the FBI knew was questionable at best. Too much silence on something that now is so obvious. Since 2017, I've aggressively pursued the Flynn investigation to find out more about why the FBI decided to interview Flynn, make him a subject of an investigation, and then why the Justice Department eventually charged him. From the beginning, I wanted to know the facts of the case. And from the beginning, none of what I found looked right. Having done good government oversight for over 40 years, I know a government foul-up when I see it. The public knows a lot more than it did in 2017 when the news first broke about this Flynn case. For example, we know on January 4th, 2017, the FBI wrote a closing memorandum on Flynn, who was codenamed Crossfire Razor by the FBI, and that memorandum said the intelligence community could find no derogatory information on the general. On the very same day the FBI was ready to close the Flynn case, Peter Strzok asked another FBI agent something like this: "Hey, if you haven't closed Razor, don't do it yet." End of quote. So Strzok obviously had another agenda. The case was still open at that moment, and Strzok asked that it be kept open quote unquote, for now. Strzok then quickly messaged Lisa Page saying that Razor still happened to be open because of some oversight and said, quote, yeah, our utter incompetence actually helps us 20% of the time, end of quote. During the course of my oversight activities of the FBI, I've uncovered and made public large amounts of Strzok's and Page's messages. When reviewing all the faults and disasters of the Russia investigation, these text messages are very, very important. They're the free expression of these top FBI employees' mindset, unencumbered by rules or decorum. They give us a look at what the drivers of the rural Russia investigation actually believed. In August 2016, just after the FBI opened the Russia investigation, Page said, quote, Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right, end of quote. She's the one who edited Flynn's 302 summary along with Strzok, which contradicted the original 302. Strzok responded to the Page quote that I just gave this way about whether or not Trump would ever become president. Quote, no, no, he won't. We will stop it. We'll stop it. Their animus towards Trump helps to explain why they cut corners and why they didn't follow regular protocol in running their inquiry. On January the 5th, 2017, the day that Strzok moved to keep the Flynn case open, President Obama met with Director Comey, Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, Vice President Biden, and National Security Advisor Susan Rice. At that meeting, they briefed President Obama on the Russia investigation. It's unclear to what extent they discussed the details of the investigation amongst each other, but given all that we know now regarding the fake foundation to the inquiry, it's time we ask, what did Obama and Biden know, and when did they know it? During the course of my oversight, I acquired an email from Susan Rice. She sent herself an email on Obama's last day in office, January the 20th, 2017. That email memorized the alleged contents of the January 5th, 2017 meeting with Obama that I previously referred to. As I noted in 2018 when I made the email public, I found it very odd that among her activities in the final moments of the final day of the Obama administration, that she would write herself an email about a meeting that happened several weeks prior about this investigation. According to Rice, Obama wanted everything done, quote unquote, by the book. Of course, we now know that never happened. She also said in part, quote, the president, as in Obama, asked Comey to inform him of anything changes in the next few weeks that should affect how we share classified information with the incoming team, end of quote. Then 1 week later, on January the 12th, 2017, somebody in the Obama administration leaked the Flynn-Kislyak call to the Washington Post.